As the winter months roll in, many of us tend to think that our hydration needs actually drop because of the colder months. We typically think about hydration concerns during the summer months, during the scorching temperatures and we're outside sweating and what have you. However, this time of year, it's colder months and what have you, when people typically overlook their hydration, can be very detrimental to your health and actually have problems that we don't typically associate with summer months. We're talking the importance of hydration during the colder months today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Good day and welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. My name is Garrett Williamson. I'm president of Personal Edge Fitness and your host. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're a fan of the podcast, you know this happens to be one of my favorite subjects, and that, of course, is hydration. But we're talking about the need for hydration in the winter months. And this is something that's highly overlooked. And I actually had a listener recommend this podcast, and they were correct to do so. And so while we're taking a pause in our exercises podcast, we've been doing a series recently of different exercises for athletes. And we're taking a pause right now because I wanted to interject this because of the time of year and explain the needs for winter hydration, most of which are typically overlooked. And also want to show where the winter poses unique challenges to hydration and has a lot to do with your health. So let's get into it. But before we do that, I want to tell you how to get in touch with the show if you have any questions concerning this podcast or any others, or like this podcast, if you have a recommendation or a question about anything, especially dispelling the myths of health, fitness, and wellness. Please contact us at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also reach me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. That is, of course, our website also, and our Facebook page. Hit me up on Twitter or X at Team PE if you want to opine that way. This is an interesting topic. A client of ours actually recommended it to me. And it's funny, when you're dealing with this stuff on a day-to-day basis, I think exercise, health, fitness, and wellness daily. So sometimes when people ask me things, I wouldn't think of this because this is like breathing to me, understanding the importance of hydration during winter. And I'm so glad when I get these questions because I think, wow, that's true. I've known that and I know that well. But it's something I don't typically tell people because, like I say, it's like breathing to me. But the need for hydration during the summer is blatantly obvious. If you're sweating, you think, okay, I'm sweating, therefore I need to drink water. I want to avoid heat strokes, so therefore I want to make sure I drink water. If I watch my dog get hot and start panting, I know he needs water. It's very obvious the need for water during the summer months, or in the South, pretty much 9 months out of the year, especially where I live. But believe it or not, there are health concerns in the winter that should be as blatant a reminder as heat stroke or, sweating is in the summer. I'm going to show you not only some studies, as usual, that deal with hydration during the winter and why it's so important, and then I'm going to show you that there's some obvious inhibitors to staying hydrated during the winter. I get it. Then I'm going to show you why it's so important and some ways to actually make sure that you continue to hydrate during the winter. I'm a big proponent of studies. One of the main reasons, everything that we do is scientifically based here. That's the reason we have the staff that we do for our 23-year history. All of our staff members possess, at minimum, a bachelor's degree in the field of either exercise science, exercise physiology, kinesiology, sport medicine, or athletic training. And we're adamant about that because everything we do is factually based. This is not, I saw this on TV and I dreamed something up and I just think this makes sense. No, this is all based on fact. It's also why I talk about my two favorite topics, the lie of age, the ridiculous concept that time passing on the calendar causes deterioration. It's an absolute lie, and you've heard me say the statement before. There is not one clinical study on the face of the earth that proves that time passing on a calendar causes deterioration, though we all believe it. And, of course, the one about live food, the ridiculous concept that there is such thing as bad food. That is not true. That is actually a lie. It's based on something that happened to a celebrity in 1955, which leads us to this skewed way of thinking about nutrition. By the way, side note, thank y'all very much to the Westmobile Rotary Club who had me out to come speak again, and this time I got the chance to speak on the live food, so thank y'all very much for having me. But all of that information is factually based, and so I always like to start off with studies phrase when I talk about pretty much anything for that matter. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that cold temperatures can increase urine production, potentially leading to dehydration. Even in the cold, body loses water through various mechanisms, emphasizing the need to drink water constantly. Now, there's something that I did not know about the increased urine production, but I'm sure it's tied to the fact that when your body's trying to heat itself up, trying to stay warm, it's going to use more energy. Therefore, if it's going to use more energy, expend more energy, everything's going to start to move faster. Even your heart rate will move faster. That is going to pull hot water out of your system. And so that's why I can definitely understand, if you have increased mechanisms in your body, you're going to have increased urine output. And if you have increased urine output, well, of course, you're causing dehydration. And the first sign of dehydration is thirst. Now, most people think, well, I don't drink water. I'm not thirsty, so I don't drink water. Well, thirst is the first sign of dehydration. It's not like, hey, dehydration's coming. No, you are dehydrated when you're thirsty. So we want to make sure we stave that off. And lack of water in the body causes all kinds of problems that are normal. There's some that are associated just with winter, but the ones I've talked about in the past, first, your energy level goes down because your systems have to work harder. Your blood's basically thicker, so every organ has to work harder, and therefore it drains energy, pulls your energy. You don't think as clearly. This is one of the signs. You've heard me talk about this book several times that the Water Doctor wrote. He's written a few of them. One of them, I'm not sure which ones I've quoted before. Drugs Kill, Water Heals is one of his books that he wrote, and he showed where brain function was impacted by a lack of water. In fact, he's shown where it's probably one of the major causes for dementia, and 30% of the water that you drink is used by your brain. So dehydration is going to inhibit your thought processes. It's going to cause that senior brain, that we make up. It has nothing to do with time passing on the calendar. It has everything to do with dehydration. And the other biggest one, if nothing else, go for vanity. Vanity happens to be my favorite sin. So 40% of the reason why we overeat, the only reason why we overeat is craving. The only two factors of that are stress, which is 60%, and lack of water, which is 40%. So if you want to eat less, drink more water, period. End of story. So you've got those, but there are several other health issues, especially in the winter, that are affected by dehydration. That, of course, is one. They increase urine output from your body staying warm, the rest of your body having to work harder for that matter. Another study. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition and Health Sciences found that winter dehydration can lead to increased risk of respiratory infections. Think about that. Besides allergy season, when do you have respiratory problems? Well, flu season comes to mind, COVID. All of these come to mind, and found that in the Journal of Nutrition and Health Sciences found that winter dehydration can lead to increased risk of respiratory infections and reduced immune functions. We have the cold and flu season. That's not during the middle of summer. The cold and flu season, you're going to increase respiratory infections and also reduce your immune function in the middle of the cold and flu season. Not very smart. And a simple way to combat those illnesses, and that, of course, is staying hydrated. What about athletes? Exercising in the winter, working out in the winter. Well, research conducted by one of my favorites, American College of Sport Medicine. Why do I say it's my favorite? There are a plethora, I can't even guess how many, personal training or fitness certifications out there. I use the air quotes on that, and the reason I do is that it's not a licensed field. Pardon me for saying it this way, but any idiot can create a certification, and plenty of idiots have. It's what I say, all of my staff has a degree in the field, plus certifications on top of that, and certifications that you can't get unless you have a degree in the field. Why? Because I don't have any weekend certified trainers here. But American College of Sport Medicine is the gold standard. Every single certifying body uses the American College of Sport Medicine's exercise testing and guidelines manual for their certifications. It happens to be one of my certifications is American College of Sport Medicine. They concluded that winter athletes, especially those who engage in outdoor sports, need to be vigilant about hydration to maintain optimal performance and reduce the risk of cold-related injuries. So why? They're not sweating. Well, they may be. Well, think about it. The reason you sweat is because your body's releasing water to cover your skin in order to cool it off. Okay, sweat is not the only thing that causes dehydration. Remember what I said a minute ago. Increased function. Increased metabolism. And if you remember from my metabolism podcast, metabolism is nothing more than calories in, calories out. That's it. It's not this funny monster that changes because of your age or it works some kind of different way inside me than it does you. No, it's calories in, calories out. That simple. So if you're exercising, you're not sweating, but you're moving a lot, you're lifting a lot, you're spending a lot of time, you're burning calories. If you're burning calories, then you're increasing your metabolism. Therefore, you are going through water, even though you might not be thirsty. You may not be sweating. You're still burning a lot of calories. You're using your body functions. Therefore, you're becoming dehydrated, which is going to cause some other problems, obviously, as some of that I've listed. I mentioned that the winter poses some challenges for drinking water on the regular basis, and I get it. I mean, when you're hot and you're sweaty, or even if you're walking from your office building to your car and from your car to the restaurant or something, and you're just outside for a brief while, yeah, you can get hot and it reminds you, hey, get something to drink. I'm hot, I'm thirsty. Yeah, okay, that's understandable. Also, sitting in a air-conditioned building increases need for hydration. Most people don't feel it. In fact, I've had people tell me, well, I don't drink a whole lot of water. I'm in the air conditioning all the time. No, that's when you probably need it the worst, because air conditioning, the largest part of probably the largest function of an air conditioner is a dehumidifier. And so you got a dehumidifier constantly running in a building where you are. Well, it's not just going to dehumidify the air. It's going to dehumidify you. It's actually going to draw water out. Well, think about it. In the winter, we got just the opposite. Even here in Mobile, Alabama, where we have humidity so high that there are times in the summer where I feel like you can go outside and cut a chunk of the weather and bring it inside. I mean, it is that thick down here. It's great for skin, though. It keeps skin hydrated. In the winter, we're less humid here. We still have humidity, but nothing like we typically do. You go to areas that have low humidity, in the winter, it's even worse. So you're going to be in a dry air. When you're inside, heaters running, drying out the air. If you're in front of fire, drying out the air. Therefore, it's dehumidifying you. And so, therefore, you're going to be dehydrated. Also, when you're exercising, as I said earlier, you're typically exercising in the summer. Even if you're inside, you're sweating more often than you are in the winter. Well, you're not sweating as much. So these are things that retard your drinking of water. They kill that natural reminder to drink some water. And I get it. I understand that. But that increases the need to be even more aware. And I'll tell you how to do that in a second. But there is a reminder. There's a reminder. It has to do with quote-unquote health problems. This is one that all of us have experienced. I'm sure you've experienced. And you ladies out there, I know this is something that is of utmost importance to you. And that is, think about when your skin dries out and cracks. Bless her heart, my mother, who all my life, her fingers and hands would just crack in the winter. She would actually layer her hands with hand cream and sleep in gloves. She had a special pair of gloves that she wore, and she slept in at night because her hands would dry out. Well, not until, of course, I went through my education did I realize that it was a lack of water that was causing that. I coached gymnastics for years. In the winter, when I was coaching gymnastics, my hands, I literally could just, if you're seeing this on camera, you're seeing me do this, just open my hand up like I'm showing the number 5 and just really stretch it, and I could cause the seams of my hand to rip open. And the reason being, I was using chalk all the time, and it was drying out my hands. Well, lack of hydration is why your skin dries out. By the way, forget this ridiculous concept that dry skin comes with time passing on a calendar. Bull, you know what? Has nothing to do with that. Don't fool yourself with that whatsoever. It comes from lack of water and many years of lack of water. But in the winter, there's your reminder. You may not be sweating. Your clothes may be dry, but there's your reminder. Dry skin, dry lips, chapped lips, not just the wind blowing on them. It's them drying out. You're in dry air. You're getting dried out. You're not staying hydrated. Boom, you're going to get dry skin. This is why when you go to less humid areas, I hate to say certain areas. I know there's certain areas of the country that I'd usually name, and I don't want to offend anybody. But when you go to those less humid areas, you look at, especially ladies, men too, obviously, both. But you look at individuals from that area versus somebody from a very humid area. And typically person to person, you will see they will look, ones in a drier climate will look older, will look more worn. Their skin will look a bit more worn. And it's no offense to them. It's just, it's hydration. In a higher humid climate, more humidity, you've got more fluid, there's actually more fluid on the skin. And so if you want to, one thing, prevent hands from cracking, lips from cracking, dry skin, or again, vanity is my favorite sin. Use that as a motivator. You want to look younger? You want to stay looking younger, especially in the winter? Maintain your hydration. Keep your water up. The reduction in the immune system, especially in the cold and flu season, you can see why I said at the beginning of this, there are certain health concerns during the winter caused by dehydration or lack of water, lack of hydration. Okay. How do we change this? How do we up our hydration? Well, I've got several podcasts where I talk about water, and I've got one, it's early on in the series of podcasts. You think I'm talking fast now? I was, really talking fast back then, but it was the magic pill, the fat loss pill, and it's all about drinking water. And it gives you even more information about that. But as you heard me say in that podcast, the one way I'll always tell people is this bottle right here. Now, if you're watching me on social media, you're seeing them holding my water bottle, which I'm rarely without. This bottle goes with me wherever it is socially acceptable to have my water bottle. Now, people will tell me, that's hard for me to remember that. And I'll ask them, where's your cell phone? They'll grab it and whip it right out. So it's no different than my cell phone. This goes with me everywhere I go. I've got a pocket knife, handkerchief, water bottle, and cell phone on me at all times. The only times I can't is when they're not acceptable. Can't take my pocket knife on a plane, obviously. I can't take my water bottle. I can't take my water bottle in a restaurant, so it doesn't go over there. But everywhere else, you will not find me without this water bottle. Now, that's first and foremost. Second thing, you see the rubber bands that are on it. These rubber bands are how I track my water. If you're looking at it right now, I have 5 bands at the top. A large purple one here for Wounded Warriors in Action, and the other 4 below it, of course, my Personal Edge Fitness rubber bands. At the bottom of the bottle right now, I happen to have 2 of the Personal Edge Fitness rubber bands. Why? Because I've had 2 bottles of water this morning. 40 ounces of water so far. I'm going to keep going until I hit 100 ounces, which is the recommended daily allowance of water by the National Institute of Health, American College of Sport Medicine, American Heart Association, the AMA, the National Institute of Health, the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, Harvard Medical, Stanford Medical. I can keep going. All of them recommend 100 ounces a day. But if you notice, the rubber bands never leave this bottle. When I finish a bottle, I move a rubber band from the bottom to the top to the bottom, whichever way I seem to be counting that day. That way, that's how I count how much water I've had to drink. There's an easy way, very easy way anybody can do to build yourself up to 100 ounces. Don't try to do it tomorrow if you've never done it before. Don't. I'm telling you, everybody that does that fails. It can humanly be done if I bet you enough money and say something ugly about your mother, but don't do that. There's a very simple process to do this, so you're not running to the bathroom all the time and your body's slowly adjusting to 100 ounces. You will not, I guarantee you will not believe how good you feel once you start doing this on a regular basis. And if you want to know that tip, you want to know how to get there, give me a call. I'll be more than glad to explain it to you. I'm at 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also reach out to me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. That, of course, is our website and our Facebook page. Hit me up on Twitter, or if you want to call it X, at Team PE. Love to hear from you. I'll be glad to tell you that system is simple. Even give you the rubber bands, I'm telling you, but I can simply get you to 100 ounces of water a day within a very short amount of time and literally change your life. Hydration, it's simple, and the health benefits are amazing, but the other side of it, especially in the winter months, could cause you a lot of problems. We want you to stay hydrated. We want you to stay fit. This is just one more way we help you reach your level of wellness. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.